Hello, Jani. Thanks for coming here at our Black Belt
My
HQ.
pleasure.
So, for those who don't know Jani, Jani is a good old friend of mine. Nobody knows, but probably if you know me and Jani, you do. But besides that, he has been the CTO of Staria for quite a while. And at the moment, you moved on, but we have worked together when you were there at Staria and I was here at Black Belts. Right?
Absolutely.
So I'm saying no lies.
I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that. The friendship part as well.
So I think, I mean, this is a very free-form conversation. We've done, I think, a very nice project with you guys at Staria. It's not going to be an ad for us at Black Belts, but briefly, if you can just walk us through what happened there and how it happened, and and basically what you think about the whole project.
Yeah. Okay. So the background was that, well, firstly, I guess I need to tell a bit about what Staria is, because it would be difficult to tell the story without telling about that part. So Staria is nowadays a 600 people financial outsourcing company, or company that sells financial outsourcing services, as well as then CFO tools and technologies like ERP implementations, and they also have a software development practice of their own, so they develop their own software as well. Now, at heart, Staria is a service company, but it's a technology-enabled service company in a sense. Because if you think of an outsourcing business like financial outsourcing it's all about digitized, or it's about efficiency, or scale and efficiency. That means digitalization, digitized processes, and thereby you drive all of that by developing your processes, well, people, processes, and tech, but tech plays an integral part of that. And now, of course, there was a lot of hype when OpenAI launched the first LLMs, like 3 years ago, and we started thinking at that point, and also our board, as to what does this mean. Previously, we've had our hype in RPA, for example, how you automate the processes and so forth, but LLMs seem to be something different, and there was a great promise. So we wanted to understand, firstly, what is it that this whole AI concept of AI LLMs mean? What's different? Because then that held a great big promise to the company, how we operate, how we could reformulate the processes and help our experts in doing their work in a more efficient way. It's not about replacing people, absolutely not. It's all about how could we work smarter, more efficiently across the borders and so forth. So we were so early on in the AI, let's say, hype, that much of the tools were still undeveloped and no real common, let's say, even industry practices. We weren't talking about agentic AI or anything, but we went and we saw that unless we jump to the bandwagon now, someone else will bypass us. So we need to be part of it, even though we didn't have 100% explicit, decide outcomes of that. Like this piece of process is automated by that, or we get that as an output. So it started more as an experimentation into what is it that the AI enables us or can enable us.
So you fully embrace this sort of uncertainty.
Yeah, exactly, because it's a very, very multifaceted topic. Like and also the tooling at that point of time was not so mature.
Yeah, I think we started talking before the summer of 2023.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't even know whether we were even a real company back then when we started talking.
Well, you surely
we looked like
so yeah.
Yes.
So the long story short, so we started experimenting. Our aim was to create an AI that helps improve our processes. For example, from the time we get for example an RFQ, RFP, the way how we answer it, all the way to how we've been serving that, and feedback that loop back to see this is what we promised, this is what we delivered, what was the delta?
Yeah.
And drive those processes there, and then. So that was the initial idea, and we started about it. And if you think of it, we ended up creating this Staria-level AI tool that plugs into multiple systems, collates that information into one common repository, and helps people. So we built the baseline for that. Having said that, the journey was and is, it's continuing definitely. Yeah. So it was an interesting one. We found out, we had known unknowns and unknown unknowns. So we encountered quite a lot of them. And we started to, how would I say, respect more, proper data governance practices, for example, and the data and access to the data, and also the kind of like user access or user access control came to be more important than we thought on the wider spread of the solution. So that's what we ended. So a Staria-level AI system plugging into multiple systems, being able to serve our internal stakeholders with different kind of Staria-related questions, not just what the system has in its own memory or system.
Yeah, I remember it very well. I was there doing that and plugging it into different data sources, which was a challenge in and of itself back then. And you're right. I mean, back then there wasn't very much of a accepted tooling. There was no MCP. There was no connectors. There was nothing. And we had
even
to
the RAG concept was something of brand new. I mean, literally out of the box.
Yeah. So RAG, it was the first implementations of RAG, and it was a great journey from my perspective as well, being very much involved in that process. And I think what you said there, that it made you respect more your own data.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic side effect in a way, because that's what we were trying to say at the very beginning. If you remember the first discussion that we had, that yes, AI, it's great promise, it can do a lot of stuff. However, if you don't have your own house in shape when it comes to data, then it's garbage in, garbage out.
Crap in, crap out. That's a saying. Yeah. But then one thing, because the whole idea at the moment was, and I think it still holds very, very valid today, and this is a valuable insight. So when you and why you build a system like Staria Mind, a corporate level AI, is that you can plug it into multiple data sources, because that really enables you as a business decision maker or a manager of certain department to gain all the necessary information that you have from your internal systems. If you go for Microsoft solutions, which are great, of course, but they work basically in the Microsoft domain. If you acquire let's say, Bitbucket, the AI works in the Bitbucket also. So it's like application-specific AI. But for businesses, for business decision makers, managers, you basically need to tap into multiple data sources. And that's what we wanted to enable. But as said, the problem then is, what is the quality of the data? And how you get access to the data. For example, we would have wanted to launch, agreements for people to work on or for AI to, index. But then comes the problem of access management. Who gets to see those agreements?
Yes,
so the data layer is the first one. That's the basic building block. But I don't think that still industry or in the companies, they even realize yet how important also the access controls is. That's the next layer. Because, then and with Staria Mind, for example, now we have, and I'm really happy that we were able to pull successfully the project through. Now we have a good baseline to start making those changes. When people see that the AI has value, they start also to love the data, so to say. So it's a sort of a feedback loop. So I get value out of the system when it helps me. I see that the data is not correct, so perhaps I'll give it a go. And then on top of that, the generic AI needs to get more agentic, if you may. I don't mean necessarily technical agentic frameworks, but it needs to be more targeted to certain different use cases for it to be meaningful for you as a manager in role XX.
Yeah.
So you need to develop those interfaces or even integrate it into certain tooling in themselves, so like a headless concepts and whatnot. And that's what's happening now, in my opinion, for much part in companies where they've implemented this kind of generic AI. Now we need to take the AI and its power to the users where it meets their needs the best. And it's not necessarily a prompt user phase. It could be something totally else as well.
Yeah, but I mean, we're always talking about helping people here, right? So you said before that your initial intention was not to replace people as a whole, but to help them. So how did I wasn't there to see how people use this stuff and how they took the tool into use. So, I mean, I'm very curious, generally curious about that.
Yeah, well, I think, AI or LLMs, they are best where in scenarios where you manage text. And for example, in marketing, it was a sort of a revelation. We were buying some tools to help us with creative writing and whatnot. We could get rid of them all the way, in one go.
So we also help you save money.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It helps save money. We could, and besides, the materials that we created were based on our own input, our own data, people that fed the data to marketing, for example, rather than a third-party tool. And then they could use it there to do, marketing material studies, what not, all of that. For many parts, of course, the use was rather generic, like language translations and whatnot.
Sure.
But then again, it's also very important because Staria operates in 10 different countries. And it's not always, let's say, evident that people are familiar with the lingo of let's say, bookkeeping. And, like, I don't necessarily know what it means in Swedish. And then again, all of these are very important. Then we went into some processes and wanted to really, work on those and improve those processes there to make them more efficient. So the beauty of this kind of generic approach that is generic, the downside of it is that it's not pinpointed to certain in particular field, but there were multiple different kinds of areas or solutions.
I think I mean what you said just kind of echoes with what we are basically seeing in the market, that it's very early days, and it used to be even more early days back then when we started and we did this project in 2023. And now things have evolved for sure. But in the end, if a company does not plug their own knowledge into the brain of the LLM, and if there is no feedback loop for the LLM to learn what's right and wrong, then it's just putting lipstick on a pig, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You are not going to improve much. You're going to spend money. Your pilot will say, okay, yeah, well, it doesn't give me the right answers because, of course, it doesn't have access to the right data. It didn't learn that I did ask the same question 2 days ago. So why it's giving me now a different answer? And that, I think, is the important part where company, and then the third part is about the quality of the data and the access control to the data. So having the ability to say that, okay, you, Jani, being the CTO, have access to this much data, and then somebody else has access to much less data. If the AI would, if the data would have access control that the AI can read and use, that would be definitely so much tailored to the needs of the company.
Yeah.
So I think this all makes sense. And when we started the project, we focused the first 3 weeks maybe on interviewing your people and learning what they wanted and what they needed. And I think that was also something that is not how to say, it doesn't come automatic. It kind of seems like a waste of time. I remember we had discussion about exactly that back in the days. But I think it was useful to inform everything else that happened afterwards. So what do you think about that? I don't know if we
I
agree
think
or
it was
disagree on that.
no, I think it was a useful process. Definitely, of course, it involved quite a lot of our people and your people.
Yeah.
So of course, there you can be mindful of how much people you involve and how you run it. But at the end of the day, it is crucial for the success of a project. Now, I think at hindsight, if we could have perhaps have even more focused approach for the beginning on we focus on this part or that part.
Yeah.
Then again, we were so early on this that it was perhaps even a bit difficult from technical perspective to have it.
Yeah.
And also, in these 2 years, also the industry and our thinking of what AI can do has taken a quantum leap.
Absolutely.
So it is now far more easy, and people also understand what are the limitations of LLMs and AI versus what was then. By the way, we did have like machine learning. We had a small team of working on AI before that on account payable transactions, so we knew what AI is about, but it is more from machine learning perspective. And so forth. So it wasn't a jump to the deep end of the pool without understanding anything.
Sure.
However, LLMs, of course, the big difference is that with that you have the heavy maths done, so to say. So you don't necessarily need a deep end, machine learning experts on the background framing anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, you just try to configure it to run on cloud. Yeah. And by the way, that was something that we didn't have. Like, we had our team focusing on how to manage the account payable invoices, extract the information then on with machine learning tools. And we do deploy some stuff in the cloud. We have team on that, but we don't have cloud development folks then there. And that was like the thing where you helped a lot.
Yeah, I remember that Paul especially did a lot of work on the pipelines. And I think, in the end, the work we have done is, and the fact that we have done it in such an automated way also enabled the fact that right after that you deployed it to help also Taloushallintoliitto, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you talk briefly about that?
Yeah, so Taloushallintoliitto is a sort of a non-profit organization here in Finland. I guess they want to make some profit, but not too much. They represent all the financial outsourcing entities that we have in Finland. But they also have an expert service whereby, and their major source of funding comes from this Taloussanomat newspaper. In that piece of newspaper, or so they have a lot of good articles written by top-notch experts on how to treat different aspects of the bookkeeping, how you defer things and what is the taxations and so forth. And the challenge, of course, for Taloushallintoliitto is that if all of that data would be in the public, it would have been already sucked into the LLM, learning models and so forth. So, but because it is of high value and high quality, and there is a great need to get that knowledge out to the users. The employees of the financial outsourcing companies, and it is the target of Taloushallintoliitto to make it available. But if it was part of LLMs, most likely that data would then would be mixed with other data, and the results or the responses would be hallucinated. As a user, when you search information on how taxation works, you need a pretty squared answer, not like hallucinated ones. And this is where we joined forces. So basically, we had a perfect, let's say, technical setup to run such an environment. Yeah. And Taloushallintoliitto had the content. So we basically joined forces and said that, hey, we can help Taloushallintoliitto to publish the data. They own the data, they own the IPs to the data, and they are the publisher, so to say. But we are happy to work with Taloushallintoliitto in enabling this, and eventually, hopefully, by us two collaborating, everyone. It's already open for the financial ecosystem here in Finland. That everybody, every outsourcing company has has access to it. And that's simply great because, now we can really, the work that we did and you helped us to do will be benefiting for the whole ecosystem of financial outsourcing companies in Finland, eventually leading to helping every company in Finland to manage their finances and so forth. Yeah,
that's absolutely awesome. And by the way, thanks for saying that you had the perfect technical implementation.
Well,
that was
perfect, but at least good enough.
Good enough. It's more finished. True. Fantastic. So thanks a lot, Jani, for joining me today, and to these and more adventures together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much.